before it's too late.
There is now a move to reclaim the land from the ravages of human encroachment. Near the coast at St Lucia, an hour east of Mfolozi, these teenagers are doing just that. As part of a community project funded by the Wildlands Trust, they are clearing out alien plants and replanting native species. A restored forest environment here could host a wide range of wildlife, including the graceful and secretive leopard. Andrew Venter of the Wildlands Trust is leading this push to reclaim the natural habitats and to turn around the human damage to the environment.
We're just seeing the change. We're seeing this incredible enthusiasm from communities throughout the area, people really buying into it, buying into the opportunities that they're now seeing the environment offer. Historically, conservation's been a negative thing. Conservation's been fencing off your land, take away your rights. And we're saying, no, wait, why don't you do this for yourself?
That is the biggest challenge that I think any conservation body or any person involved in conservation is facing today. It's an awesome challenge to try and get local people involved in conservation efforts to their advantage and to show it to their advantage. They need to feel it in their stomachs and feel it in their pockets and not just see it viewed on television, for instance. It needs to be something physically tangible that they can actually feel. And it's not something that will happen overnight. It's an education process, but more than that, it involves commitment from conservationists. There has to be, you've got to put something in order to get something out.
Even if there can be sufficient land reserves rehabilitated for wild animals in southern Africa, there are still some massive biological shadows casting a pall over their future. This lone young lion looking for a meal in the harsh surrounds of the drought-stricken lower veld could be a worrying omen for the future of the lion population. Whole prides of lions in some areas of the region risk being decimated by a new threat, an epidemic of tuberculosis that threatens to sweep right across the entire continent. TB is an airborne disease, and lions can catch it from the buffalo they feed on and infect each other while feeding and grooming.
If one looks at the feeding behavior of lions, in a pride situation, they kill a buffalo, they fight. And so what can actually happen is that they can actually inhale some of those bacteria. And they can then get the pulmonary form, or the lung form, which then forms these lesions. They don't look the same as in buffalo, but then with the coughing and fighting, they're able to spread it to the others. So it is a huge problem.
At Shakuta Game Reserve, the lion breeding program is tightly managed, and all animals are carefully observed for any signs of the disease. But when it's time to move them to another enclosure, things don't always go to plan. This youngster has been darted with a tranquilizer and has sought refuge in a tree. Drugged and groggy, the lion sleeps, but not for long. Fortunately, the bushes below broke his fall and he suffered no serious injury. At worst, the lion's pride was hurt.
He landed quite gracefully, actually, for a drugged lion. Lions are pretty tough. They're like cats, you know. Came down and he landed on his back feet, still gripping with his claws in the tree. You heard, you know, on the tree as he was gripping, came down. So he's pretty well all right. Just take that dart out, hold the skin.
Because they are isolated, the chances of the lions on Shakuta getting TB are virtually zero. So, I mean, one's looking many years down the line, but it may eventually end up that the private ranches may even be restocking national parks like Kruger and even Mfolozi. Mfolozi's got a huge problem with TB. So private ranches serve as a nucleus of perhaps future genetic material to restock these areas if the problem were ever to get that big.
So although TB isn't an epidemic yet, it's just another problem facing South Africa's big game. But there's an even bigger threat, and one that could be solved very easily. As a former government-funded researcher, big cat expert Thas de Wet now despairs at the level of government support for the preservation of endangered species. He says the drought isn't just confined to the weather.
As far as the South African, the new government is concerned, conservation-wise, we're going down the tubes. The government budgets for conservation just dried up. There's no proper conservation happening. It's only the regulatory stuff, the permits and a bit of law enforcement. But the research and everything that used to be done in conservation has disappeared out of the government. And it's the private enterprise, the private landowners will make or break the conservation of these carnivores in South Africa.
So as usual, it comes down to the money, the almighty dollar, or in this case, the rand.
People become more and more aware that they have a role to play. And what makes it even more attractive to people to conserve them is that the ecotourism prospect. These animals are able to pay for themselves, and one doesn't want to be mercenary about it, but there's so much pressure on our land that unless a piece of land can actually produce money and be economically viable, it's going to be taken away for something else. So there's that old slogan, and I know it's very controversial, that says if conservation pays, it stays. The financial aspect is certainly a carrot. The purists don't like it, but it's a fact.
That's basically how they've been trained and beaten like the way the Indians.
With tourist-oriented operations now playing such a crucial role in the conservation of African wildlife, international support is critical. One way for people to help is to support wildlife organisations, but safari operator Jacqueline Berger says she has an even better idea.
Of course, the best thing for people would be to come here. And that is also getting easier. You know, it is just from the UK 10 hours down and they can have a good time. And it doesn't have to be that expensive anymore. But people should give it a chance. If you have an opinion about things, okay, try to go down. Try to, you know, spend a nice holiday here, and they will change their mind. I have no doubt about that.
Generally, it's fantastic. I mean, people generally move away here. They've had such a fantastic experience. I mean, we have people sort of leave with tears rolling down their face. For us, it's more about the whole experience. It's the wildlife, it's the people that live and work here as well, that touch people as well.
There's no doubt that on an individual level, people's hearts are touched by these fabulous animals. And while individuals can make a difference by volunteering their time to help, or by donating money to various charities that fight for the wildlife, the challenge to save Africa's endangered species is so great that if humanity as a whole takes its eye off the ball for too long, then in the blinking of an eye, some of the world's most loved species of animals could disappear from the wild completely. As the drought, both financial and weather-wise, continues in southern Africa, the danger of the extinction of these amazing animals also continues to grow. There are more than 4,700 species of mammals in the world today. Of those, 25% are on the red list of endangered species, and right at the top are some of Africa's greats. It's likely there will never be more than 4,700 mammal species in the world. However, there will be a lot less if humanity fails to act. It's time for humankind to give back some of what it has taken from this ancient land and save the animals of Africa before it is too late.
Historically, conservation's been a negative thing. Conservation's been fencing off your land, take away your rights. And we're saying, no, wait, why don't you do this for yourself?
That is the biggest challenge that I think any conservation body or any person involved in conservation is facing today. It's an awesome challenge to try and get local...
Leading this push to reclaim the natural habitats and to turn around the human damage to the environment.
We're just seeing the change. We're seeing this incredible enthusiasm from communities throughout the area. People really buying into it, buying into the opportunities that they're now seeing the environment offer.
There is now a move to reclaim the land from the ravages of human encroachment. Near the coast at St Lucia, an hour east of Mfolozi, these teenagers are doing just that. As part of a community project funded by the Wildlands Trust, they are clearing out alien plants.
Before it's too late.
On replanting native species. A restored forest environment here could host a wide range of wildlife, including the graceful and secretive leopard. Andrew Venter of the Wildlands Trust is leading